Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More, and I'm outside the Ocho right now waiting for an eviction to start. The sheriff's deputy should be here soon. We try to avoid evictions. This is just one we could not avoid, and it will not be a good situation, I don't think. So if there was one eviction I could choose not to be at and to avoid, it would be this one. But I still feel as a property owner, I need to be here, and hopefully it goes better than I think it will. But we don't think the person has moved anything at all, and I'm just not looking forward to this. But they haven't paid rent for months and months and months. A lot of other issues came up, a lot of different things going on. So unfortunately, this is where we're at right now, and we'll show the property, show what it looks like. Hopefully, it's not trashed or anything. I haven't been in there in a little while, but we'll have some updates here as we go along. We'll wait for the sheriff's deputy to come. We have 8 to 10 people here. They always require us to have 8 to 10 people here to do the eviction, even though it's just a 2-bedroom apartment. They want us to have a lot of manpower here to move things quickly, because the sheriffs are often moving pretty quickly between evictions. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully it's better than I think it will be. But love the likes, love the shares, with the comments, and we have lots of other interesting stuff going on right now too. And hopefully, like I said, this goes okay. Here were the police knocking on their door. We weren't sure if they're home, but then someone did answer. I think it was the tenant's daughter, who may be an adult, may not be, I'm not sure. And they had moved nothing. So while the police were talking to them, we were able to open the storage unit and the garage because the mom was coming home. So we were waiting for the mom to come home before we started the eviction on the house. Trying to be as civil as possible, but it was not easy in this situation. And it did take a little while for them to open the door, but they did eventually open it. At first, I thought there wasn't going to be anybody home, which would have been really nice if nobody showed up, but that is not the case. And here's one garage that we did get open, and if you thought there's a lot of stuff in there, the house is 100% more full, and you can see everything we took out of it. This was a really tricky eviction, and I'm actually showing you another unit where the tenants left a few months ago to show you what the unit looks like, because I didn't want to show this unit with all her stuff in it because I knew she's probably going to cause a whole lot of problems. And so we'll show you the unit after we move everything out. We're still going to show that to you, but while I explain the situation, I was going to show you what one of the units looks like when it's nice and moved out. This tenant had not paid rent for 4 some months. We had asked her to pay something, to just give us even $100 to show us good faith. She had all kinds of excuses and reasons why she couldn't pay, and all the payments before that had been from assistance, and so she literally would not pay us anything. And I debate going back and forth on explaining any of this, but I know a lot of real estate investors and people watch my videos, and so I try and explain what I do and everything I do so they know how to handle similar situations. And so she was not willing to give us anything, no money, never gave us money, and had eventually gotten assistance approved after we filed the eviction, after the eviction was approved, after we were ready to go through with everything. And we talked to our attorney, and he said, go through with the eviction. And I told her that, and she knew when the eviction was, but she pretty much acted like she was going to be able to stay. And we told her she couldn't, and up until the day of the eviction, they hadn't moved anything, not one thing out, and that was confirmed during the eviction. And like I said, I was trying to avoid being there because I knew she was going to come at me, and while I was actually helping the neighbors jumpstart their car, which seemed like a good thing to do, she was talking to the sheriff's deputy. Nikki was there, other contractors were there, and she was telling him all this stuff about me, how horrible I was. And the sheriff's deputy actually stood up for me. He's like, I know Mark, we've done lots of evictions for him. He's actually a really good guy, and he tries to avoid these situations. We've seen it firsthand all the time. And that, I guess, made her even more furious. And then I finally came back, and she said she needed till Friday, which is something you hear all the time. Just give me a few more days. But if you give them a few more days, it literally starts the eviction over from scratch. You have to repost, go to court again, reschedule the eviction. It can take another month or longer to do all of that and cost a whole lot more money. So in this situation, we went through with the eviction because she did not make any effort whatsoever. And the sheriff even made comments, not me, saying, hey, she showed up with brand new shoes, brand new pack of cigarettes, a new car that she just bought, not a new car, but a new to her car. And he's like, we see this situation all the time. This was an eviction I really didn't want to do because I know she had children. and I contemplated not doing it a few times, but I knew we had to go through with it because this is just going to be a continuing problem over and over and over again. And so once we went through with the eviction and got into the house, I 100% stopped feeling bad about any of it. It was one of the worst properties we'd ever seen. And my contractors had been in there before, but that she'd never let them in the bedrooms or the bathrooms. And it was packed full of stuff. This was like we've done evictions of houses that were full, like entire houses, and there was more stuff in here than that. And seeing that children had lived in there, I'm happy we did this eviction and wish we would have done it sooner so the children can find a better place to live. But soda, food, a cat was living there who should have been living there without being taken care of, litter boxes, feces, cigarettes. They were smoking in there. They had a cat in there. We found drug paraphernalia in there, and food everywhere, old food, rotten food. It was just nasty. So it was a crazy eviction, and I'm really glad I didn't show all the stuff because she went bonkers. Like, they were fine. They were all okay while the sheriff was there. As soon as the sheriff left, they started yelling at us, screaming at us, cussing at us. Every time we stayed there for a while, because they threatened to break windows, they turned the water spigot on and off, which we'll show you. But after that happened, we called the cops, waited for the cops to come, which took a very, very long time, like almost an hour of us just sitting there. And the whole time, if we looked over there at all, like, what are you looking at? And just start yelling at us again. So the cops came. I told them what was going on. I told them that they threatened to break stuff. We just wanted a record of it. I wanted to, them to talk to them and make sure they understood they can't break stuff. And they said, sure. They talked to him. And then they kept complaining to the police that I was going to make TikTok videos of them and that I was filming stuff. And I told her I have to film stuff for my own records and showing the eviction, in case they come back and say we did something wrong, we broke their stuff, whatever. So I always film everything. And then she had mentioned TikTok because this is the tenant who was driving in the yard before, and I made the TikTok about it. And she also talked really bad about me to my staff, to everybody else, nonstop, all the time. So she did not do herself any favors there as well, although I try to not let that make any decision for me at all. But that's where we stood during the eviction, and let's see what the property looked like after it was all said and done. So this was one of the worst evictions we've ever done, and I was not expecting the inside to be that bad. I thought it would be bad because of the people involved and what they were saying and what they might do. But once we got inside, this place was disgusting. I mean, so bad, piled with stuff. It took us an hour and a half to move everything with 10 guys out of a 2-bedroom apartment. So it was crazy. And there's a cat in here, so if I sound a little stuffed up, that's why. And I'll show you what my fun job was. I always tell myself I'm just going to stand outside and not do anything, but then I see people working and it's hard for me to just stand there. So for some reason I have a nose of steel, and so I cleaned out this closet bathroom, which was packed full of disgusting stuff. And yeah, that's the new litter box. There was a litter box over here, but it was covered in clothes, so it wasn't being used anymore, but it had obviously been used before. Obviously there's not supposed to be a cat in here. They're smoking in here. I found numerous pipes in here, and yeah, they had kids. So I thought this was going to be a really bad eviction because she might bring her kids and be very dramatic, and she was. But after seeing it, I'm actually really glad we did it because no kids should have been living like this. It was disgusting, and I didn't show it beforehand just because I didn't want to show all their stuff and things, just because, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I don't know why people are yelling. But they're obviously outside now. I'll show you that pile. But yeah, just crazy. And we had given them plenty of notice, so many opportunities to, you know, to catch up, to help us out. But yeah, did not work out. And now I kind of wish we would have done it sooner to help them out more. So there it is. So I'm showing the old video again too. So once I walked out, that's when they started yelling at me. Everything I said, they wouldn't want me filming any of their stuff, anything at all while they're sitting there filming me. And they said they'd put me on TikTok and all this stuff. And their favorite line was that I was going to die old and lonely. And then they started saying, you know, they're telling the police later on, oh, they kept laughing at us and they thought it was funny. And like, we weren't laughing at them. We were laughing because they just would not stop yelling and insulting us. And it was like, that was our only reaction, was to turn away. And like, it was crazy. And I said a couple of things back to them, but I showed extreme restraint, not saying more, because I really wanted to tell them more, but I didn't. I tried to take the higher ground and mostly walked away and stood off while we waited for the police to come. And then, then we went from there the next day, and you can see how much better our grass looks now. This is right after we first bought it. We had to do a few changes to the sprinkler system. And, the next day, this is what happened. And here, like I showed part of this before, this wasn't all of it. We still had a few more things we moved out. This was in a 750 square foot, 2-bedroom apartment. And well, I guess some of it was from the garage and the storage unit, but almost all of that was packed into the apartment. Literally, we used 50 trash bags, giant, hefty trash bags. The police asked us to put everything in there to be safe. And then, yes, this was her turning on the water over and over again and just letting it run. And so we ended up having to actually take the water faucet off so that she would stop doing it. And that's how the day went. All right, so it's the next day, and I'm parked a block away, and there's a reason for that. You can see some of their stuff is still here. I haven't been by here yet. One of my contractors was by here, said they were getting some stuff, said they smeared pumpkins all over the building. But I'm parked a block away because if they see me, they will just start screaming and yelling and going crazy, and I'm trying to avoid the screaming and yelling. I'm actually in my Supra too, my older blue Supra, because it's got the most tinted windows of any of my cars. And so in case I do decide to drive by, hopefully they won't know it's me, but I definitely want to get some more footage of the property and see what it looks like. So it's a tricky situation. And so I'm waiting right now for my contractor actually to come by, and any car that drives by, I'm making sure it's not them, because I have all the keys to the building and one of the lights got left on, and he said one of the windows was open too, and it was real cold last night. I thought I checked all of that when I was in there, but maybe I didn't get all of those done. So you can still see some other stuff. At 1:30 today, we will come back, and anything that's still here, put it in the dumpster, remove those things, and hopefully that's not a crazy show as well. We'll see how that goes. And the dumpster's not here yet. We did order the dumpster. Hopefully it's here by then, because that could really throw a wrench in things. But should be another interesting day, and we'll see how that goes. And then I think I'll kind of give the keys to my contractor. Oh, we've got that sweet dog tire. I've always seen that before, and we thought it was for a cat or a dog. And look at that. He has his throne. That's pretty cool. So anyway, maybe I'll have my contractor drive by. If he doesn't see him, I'll drive by, check it out, and then hope, oh, there's somebody. Who's that? Is that just some random person looking through stuff? That's the risk of an eviction. And that's one reason, too, why I didn't want to post anything before this was all done. Because I didn't want to post on TikTok or anywhere that we had an eviction, that stuff was out there, because I didn't want to advertise their stuff being out here. Wanted to make sure we kept it as quiet as possible. So there is somebody over there. I don't know if he's just looking for stuff. I don't know. Even though they're like yelling, screaming at me all the time, I still don't want somebody stealing their stuff. Maybe I'll just drive by there real quick here, because if they're not there to tell somebody to stop. Okay, so yeah, that was just some random guy trying to take their stuff. So I talked to him, I told him the situation, he was cool, he put the stuff down, they left. So they've had enough issues where, I mean, I'm sure he's only taking stuff he likes, and that might be stuff they want. So they have gotten quite a bit of it, that's for sure. So that's good. Oh, there might be a pumpkin. Oh yeah, there's some pumpkins all over. Oh, well, there's Jared behind me, my contractor. Yep, they definitely threw pumpkins at the whole place. Interesting. Okay, well, they're not here, so we'll check this place out here. All right, so we're back. It's 1 minute until 1:30 when we can start putting all the stuff in the dumpster. Luckily, they got most of the stuff. We haven't seen anybody here for a while, so that's good as well. Hopefully there's no conflicts or anything like that. And they got a lot of their stuff too, which is also good because I didn't want to see them lose a bunch of their stuff. There have been people trying to rummage through all of it and take things, and just been telling them, hey, you know, after 1:30 it all goes in the dumpster. That's when their time to get things is over, but don't take things now. So, but I think they've got everything they wanted. Of course, you know, they dumped all the bags out. Oh, this was kind of funny. Yep, and stuff everywhere. And then something else we found out is, we think they put a bunch of their stuff in one of the garages. And it is actually, no surprise here, the garage for the unit where we think we have the people who are squatting. And so they probably let them put a bunch of their stuff in there. And I actually called the sheriff and said, hey, can we do anything about that? What do we do? And he said, let's leave it, proceed with the eviction for the squatters to do that. When that goes through, then you get to come back and empty that garage as well. So I'm really hoping they didn't move like a bunch of their stuff into that apartment as well. And then we have to just redo all the moving that we just did already, but we'll see how that goes at that point and go from there. So get this cleaned up, get all this trash cleaned up. Hopefully looks a lot better for the other tenants, because that's something I really feel bad about, is going through all this, all the yelling, screaming, trash everywhere and everything. All the other tenants who are, you know, paying their rent, doing the right things, keeping stuff clean, have to deal with this mess. So hopefully this isn't an ongoing problem and this is the end of it. All right, so they're throwing stuff away. And then other craziness that happened. I mean, this was like kind of a backstory, but probably one of the crazier things that's gone on. In a normal year, a normal month, we had that first garage broken into like 6 months ago, and got a new garage door, got that replaced. So that's good. And I think one of the problems with these is they don't really lock from the inside, or the locks are old and messed up. So everyone has padlocks on them. Well, then a couple days ago, number 2 here told us they got their garage broken into. So we stopped by, tried to figure out how we can make them more secure. And we have more information on that here in just a second. And he said, hey, well, like an hour ago, I was in my garage and someone tried to break into number 3. You can see right here, someone's trying to break into number 3. He put a new padlock on already, but they had almost cut through it all the way. Number 2 saw him, scared him away, and while he's driving away in his truck, he said he shot out his windows. I'm like, oh geez. So lots of craziness going on here at the Ocho and in the town in general lately. So we'll come back here in an hour or so, see how it's going, and hopefully, like I said, this episode of the Ocho is done for now. But of course there'll be more episodes with the other squatters in the other unit. All right, so I'm back. It's about an hour later, and look how nice it looks. We got all the trash out of here. We got the couch that was sitting over here out of here, and everything's in the dumpster. We called them to get that picked up, so I really don't want the people to come back and throw everything out of the dumpster back in the yard again, which wouldn't surprise me if they did do that, but hopefully they won't. There was some glass in here that they had actually broken themselves. I saw them just kick like some margarita glasses, so hopefully we got all that picked up. We got all the pumpkins picked up that they had thrown everywhere. And so I think, hopefully, that's the end of this. We never hear from them again. and we can all move on with our lives. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was more to this story at a later date. We'll see how all that goes. And then you can see, looks much better up here. Still have some interesting stuff, and the spray painted bike over there, which I'm like, huh, wonder why that bike's spray painted. But that's another story. All right, so that's all from the Ocho for now. We'll see if there's any more story. Of course, we'll show the apartment. We'll go through that. We'll get it cleaned up. We'll do a light remodel like we did on the other ones. We painted, new appliances if needed, new windows if needed. The bathrooms will need some work there for sure. Kitchen will need a little bit of work. And then we'll of course show the after video after we do that too. Then we'll get that put up for rent, and hopefully things will go better next time. Like I said, we bought this about a year ago. All the tenants we have placed in here have been good. Like, we haven't had issues, any problems. I mean, once in a while someone pays late with rent, but they've gotten caught back up. All the issues we've had have been with tenants who were placed by the previous landlord. And I think before he sold it, he just got anybody in here he could without doing much screening. And that's where some of these problems came from. And if we do sell it, which we might end up selling it after we get it stabilized here. I don't know why I would want to sell it, it's been so much fun, but we would still want to get good tenants in there for the new landlord, not just throw anybody in there we can. All right, so, well, we still have that fridge. That's another story. I talked to the neighbors over here before, and I helped them jump their car during the eviction because I didn't want to be here at the very beginning because the lady was looking for me and screaming and yelling. But he said he's going to take that fridge, so we left it for him. But it's still there, so we'll see if that fridge disappears. If not, we'll get that too. Cleaned up all the trash around the building. All that should be good. And yeah, so for now, love all the likes, love the comments, love the shares. Keep those coming. We'll be back with more videos on the Ocho or other stuff. We might have another property to see here soon with the other house with the post-occupancy agreement maybe being vacant soon. We'll see. That's been quite the crazy series. So we'll see how that works. And again, thanks for watching. We'll be back.